Good day, everyone, and welcome to the SuperTalk. We're excited to be here this afternoon, and I'm here with Jake Berry, who is the producer of the SuperTalk. Going to talk about some important topics regarding COVID-19, but before we do that, Jake, last night we had the board meeting in which we recognized our principals, and I know we were talking about that earlier with regard to it being Principals Month, and I did want to, after our conversation, I got to thinking about it, and I did want to extend our gratitude toward all our principals in McAllen ISD. I know that our principals are the key to making our schools run effectively, and there's so much that goes into being a principal. So for it to be Principals Month, really in McAllen ISD, every month is Principals Month, and we know that it takes leadership to run our organization, and we're an A-rated school district, and we have outstanding principals. So on behalf of our school board and on behalf of the entire McAllen ISD family, I did want to extend our gratitude to all of our principals and say thank you. We appreciate all the work that you put into running your campuses, and we know it's not easy. Being a principal is one of the toughest jobs in the field of education. There's so much that goes into making sure that the campuses run smoothly, and not only run smoothly, but perform and produce. So our principals in McAllen ISD are a class act. Our principals in McAllen ISD deserve all the recognition in the world because at the end of the day, you're here to serve our students and their families. You make sure that everything from the master schedule to the physical plant to making sure that you staff your campuses appropriately to ensure that we deliver quality instruction, making sure that we keep our students safe, making sure that we meet the demands of our community, and in the very end, ensure that we're putting our students in a position to fulfill their dreams. And that's something that's not easy to do. So once again, principals in McAllen ISD, please know that we love you all, we honor you all, and we hope that October is very special because it is Principals Month. So on top of that, we also had a Q&A that we wanted to get into with regard to some questions we've received around COVID-19. So Jake and I will go through these questions, and I hope that this is beneficial to our community, and I hope that it answers any questions you might have. And as always, if there's anything that we don't touch on that you'd like us to answer, just put it in the comment section, and we'll get back to it as soon as we can. So Jake, what are some of the questions that we have?
Well, our first question is, did McAllen ISD apply for an additional waiver from TEA?
We did. Originally, we were set to come back on October 19th. That was the original day. But once TEA gave us some latitude and gave us the opportunity to extend our runway, we worked as a team, and we worked with the Board of Trustees. We put out a plan to the Texas Education Agency that was approved. Ultimately, our Board of Trustees approved a waiver, and that waiver takes us now beyond October 19th, and it takes us all the way through the week of November 16th. So that's something that's important to us because we want to make sure that we keep our students and our staff and our entire community safe. And we're excited about this opportunity to create this waiver to take us deeper into the school year. Please know that on November 9th, we are going to be working with transition grades. So if you're a parent that has a child coming to McAllen ISD, elementary students in pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade, we're considering those transition for elementary. You'll have the option to send your children to school. And I say option. It's not mandatory, but you'll have the option to send your children to school. Also, if you're a parent that has a sixth grader or a ninth grader, the week of November 9th, you'll have the option as a transition grade to send your children to school. Also, any McAllen ISD staff member the week of November 9th will also have the option to send their child to school. So when we get to the next week on November 16th, that's the day where it's time to make a decision as a parent. So as a parent, you need to have your family meetings and decide whether you're going to choose the 100% remote as we're in right now, whether you're going to choose to send your children to school 100% of the time, or we're even going to have a combination option where you can send your child to school 2 days out of the week, and that'll be the week of November 16th. And one thing I also wanted to point out to the staff members out there, on November 9th, it's all hands on deck. So that would mean all staff members report back to work, with the exception of those staff members that have a reason or legitimate concern to work with HR, and we'll make special accommodations for you should COVID-19 be something that puts you in a particular risk. Those staff members would be worked with HR. But everybody else on November 9th is all hands on deck, so we're excited about that, and we look forward to getting everybody back into the building at some point in the game.
You answered part of that next question, which was, what choices will we have as a parent when it's time to return back to school? But there's a second part to it. What if it's not feasible for my child to wear a mask all day?
Well, just to hit the choices once again, as a parent, and I'm a parent. My wife and I have a first grader, a second grader, and a third grader. So we have to make a choice on whether they're going to stay 100% remote, whether they're going to come to school 100% of the time, or do a combination of. So that's something that we're discussing right now. At this point, we're looking at our family is to bring our kids to 100% school. That's something that we're looking at as that works best for our family. And that's the beautiful thing about this system, is that you have a choice. If in your family it works better to keep your children remotely because you have the support system at home and you have the means and you have the structure that will allow your child to continue working remotely, and that works for you, then great. But if your child would benefit more from a face-to-face, great. And if you don't want to go all the way and you just want to kind of test it and say, well, let's go 2 days out of the week, well, you have that option also. So those are the three options. The second part of the question was, what if my child cannot wear a mask all day? And that's a very real issue. And good thing TEA has given us some flexibility there. So we're excited about the flexibility that the TEA has given us in saying that if it's not feasible for a child to wear his mask or her mask all day, then they can wear a face shield. And we're recommending that masks are the recommended option. But if your child cannot wear a mask all day, then a shield is something that they can use during the instructional time. We're just recommending that they stay behind a plexiglass that we're going to have at a desk also. So you can imagine a child wearing a shield behind a plexiglass, and then they can receive their instruction that way. However, whenever there's moving from point A to point B or leaving the classroom, then it's going to be a mask that's going to be required. So there's some flexibility there. We're excited that TEA gave us that option. And I mentioned shields. We are working on getting shields for student desks, and also shields that are going to separate the teacher from students in classrooms. So there's a lot going on in McAllen ISD to keep our students and staff safe.
Our next question is, when our child returns back to school, will we be notified if a student or a staff member tests positive for COVID-19?
And that's one thing. We want to be as transparent as possible, and we have been already, because as you know, we have small groups of students that are already receiving instruction at the campus level. We also have athletics going on at the varsity level. So we've already been able to execute our plan with regard to being transparent and getting information out. So if your child goes to campus and there's somebody that tests positive, then you can expect to receive a letter. And this letter would be going out to parents, and I have them here before me, and it would just be saying that your child's campus had a positive case. Obviously, we wouldn't give you information with regard to who the student is or who the staff member is, but you would know that there was a positive case on your campus, and that letter would go to you directly so that you could be aware. Also, if your child may have been exposed at a higher rate, if they were exposed in a fashion that we believe through contact tracing puts them at more risk, then you'll get an additional call and an additional letter to inform you that your child may have been exposed at a higher rate. So at that point, then they would walk you through what you would need to do, which would include quarantining and making sure that there was no signs and symptoms. So, but to answer the question, everybody will be informed.
And our next question is, if I am interested in COVID testing for myself or my child, does the district have COVID-19 testing sites? If so, do they have to have symptoms?
We do have COVID testing sites, and they run between today and Saturday at this point, and we can always look for more entities, because there's many entities across the community willing to work with us with COVID testing. But at this point, we do have an option for parents and students and community members to get tested at 4 sites, and I'll make sure that Jake puts that up on the screen so you can see the different testing sites. That'll come up on the screen right now. And one thing is that you don't have to be showing signs. If you just feel that you may have been exposed or you just want to be safe, then you can go get tested. And that's something that we wanted to provide to our community. So once again, we'll put the testing sites up. And if it's something that your family is interested in, then please take advantage of that option.
And our final question is, what are some measures that the district is doing or taking to ensure students and staff are safe when they return back to school?
Well, one thing, and I do encourage, and again, Jake, if you could put the link to the return to school traditional phase-in plan. So if you look at this plan, This plan lays out everything that you need to know with regard to our game plan for coming back to school. So this is one, and Jake will put this link up. So if there's anybody out there interested in going through the document, then you can go through that at your own pace. It's a 23-page document with a lot of great information on how we're going to come back. The other is our return to school plan for staff. And this one here tells a story of what we're doing to ensure that all protocols are in place with regard to safety. There's many things that we're doing. We've talked about the antimicrobial agent called Gold Shield. It's more of a mist that we're spraying across our buildings. We've also put hand sanitizers in classrooms. We've made sure that if you went to McAllen and you're at the board meeting and you walk into the hallway now and you'll see arrows pointing down the hallways that are kind of monitoring the way students should walk. So you have traffic that's being monitored, and you have traffic that has a rhyme and a reason to it to keep kids away from one another as much as possible. Obviously, we're providing our teachers with COVID kits that are going to include shields, that are going to include hand sanitizers and masks. We're also going to provide shields for students at their desks, a shield for a teacher that's going to put a barrier between them and their students. So there's a lot going on around the measures that we're taking. Intensified cleaning practices are obviously something that we're going to be putting into play. And it's just exciting right now to see all the measures that we've taken as we move toward our starting date and kind of get a feel for how many students and how many students will actually be in the building. But we're taking precautions just like every other entity across the world is taking to ensure that our people are safe, students and staff.
And that was our final question. I think you've done a great job of answering questions each week, and I'm sure that we're going to have more questions as we roll towards November. But that was our last question.
And that's one thing I appreciate you, Jake. And I know that the Super Talk is something that we take a lot of pride in, because it's our way of getting information out to the community and to the masses in a big way. And we found that it's something that's given us traction. So I know that in episode 18 we had over 30,000 views. Episode 19 had well over or close to 20,000 views. So we're hoping that this information gets out too. So tell your friends about it. And it's just another measure that we're taking to make sure that we're transparent with our community. And if there's anything that you want us to discuss, or there's any questions that we didn't hit on today that you want us to answer, then just put it in the chat, and we'll come back around and make sure that we get another Super Talk out there to answer any questions you might have. But as we close, I do recommend that all of you go onto our website, go to the site that Jake's going to put on the screen, and make sure that you read through the book, as it answers a lot of questions that you might have. And again, we talked about the letters that you'll receive in the event that we have a situation with a positive case. So this is something that you can expect also. And then please know that we have a return to school plan for our staff also, which obviously includes students and making sure that everybody's safe. So some of the things that we wanted to talk about, but more than anything else, I just wanted to thank our community for being so supportive and for doing everything that you can to do your part. Because at the end of the day, it's a team effort to make sure that we get through this together, but we will get through this. So once again, thank you for joining us on the Super Talk, and have a wonderful day.